So, for my first installment of our Global Learner project, Larissa and I went to a coffee shop for about an hour before we went on a field trip for another class. We mostly just talked about how our school systems worked and how the competition was set up in our school systems. So, for her, in Germany, they have a three-tier system where after I think it was grade three, you're put into different tracks, and there's a 5 year track, a 6 year track, and an 8 year track. The 8 year is what basically says that you're going to go on to university. And it really separates them by skill level and like how good you are at school. Um, they also have a lot more choice in their education when they're younger. So they have more topic focused classes, and they also don't have the same schedule every day. So they're um, what we would consider high school and middle school is more set up like how the US sets up college. And then they also learn a lot more skills like sewing and printing and different things like that. They have to learn different skills throughout their each year. And they have to learn more languages. So Larissa said that she started learning English in grade one. Um, and then she also, in grade five, I believe, she said that she had to start learning a second language and she chose French. And I think that this is a really good system. They also didn't have extracurriculars through the school. That it was all outside of the school. So like their sports were all club sports and things like that, which I think is also a good system. Um, but so talking to her kind of made me wish that I had more choice growing up in my what I was learning, and but it also made me realize that I'm glad for the lesser forms of social division. I think it's their way of competition where we have like honors classes, but we're all in the same school and on the same track, learning mostly the same things, just maybe a different pace. So I think that the way that they do their social division and their like division and competition is kind of a tricky and maybe a dangerous um, system to go about because it can cause a lot of superiority complexes, um, which I think could just be tricky to navigate. It also makes me think about that the U.S. is like considered one of the bigger leaders in the world, and I think that this is it makes me think about that it might be because we genuinely were a leader in like technology, but now I think is because like we're so big and we have the money, but the innovation and the new ideas are coming from smaller companies or smaller countries and who have different school systems because a lot of the school systems in Europe I think are more encouraging of creativity and depth of knowledge and diversity of knowledge. So I think that this is a good system. Um, but I just thought it was interesting. It seemed basically the same on like parental uh, involvement and everything else. It was just mostly that competition aspect that was a bit different, and then the obviously the content, how they went about that. But it definitely made me think a lot about what works in schools and what I think could be improved in our U.S. school system.